The Grudge, The Untold Chapter, is a extremely angry spirit horror movie untold sequel. So before we start the plot, just a reminder that my videos as of now will not have captions, as CapCut decided that even just to do captions on your video now, you have to be a pro member, which obviously will not be doing. So this is kind of a split story. So this doesn't take place after the third movie, hence why it's not called 4, it's called The Untold Chapter. This is probably also taking place during the third movie. So a lady visits the house in Japan and she goes back to America in a different spot, not an apartment complex, but this actual house. And yes, she brought the Grudge with her, and now this house in America is a hotspot. So this is kind of back into explaining the virus, how it's a virus and how it's spreading, which is one of my favorite things about this movie. Is just, yeah, it can honestly be chaotic. Surprised they don't do a movie that's like in the future where, you know, an insane amount of places and houses and stuff like that are hotspots for the Grudge. It could just be post-apocalyptic, honestly, because there's no way to really stop it. And yeah, in this one, basically we're following new people. Like, it's not really connected to the other ones, it's just its own thing. Well, old lady gets back home and it's kind of like a reverse Grudge. She ends up going crazy, killing her husband and killing her daughter, which start a new Grudge house. And yes, people move into this house and they go crazy and kill themselves, which bring the police there again. And yep, it's just kind of the classic first one. Police are getting killed, the people in the house are getting killed. It's just, you're not supposed to go into these houses, and it's the Grudge. If you've seen any of the Grudges, this is the fourth one, you know once you're cursed, you're dead. But in this movie, one of the things that was crazy was it was just this one dude. He was like, yeah, I'm not going in that house. And he survives. He doesn't die because he just doesn't go in this house. Smart. Well, we follow this police officer. Her mom or something just died. And yeah, she's getting put on this new case. And she's kind of like curiosity kills the cat type deal. Where, yeah, dude that doesn't go into the house is like, leave this case that we're on alone, let the FBI deal with it. And instead of just doing that, she ends up exploring and actually going to this house. Once she goes in it, you already know the deal. She's cursed, and we're just basically following, I don't know, different people at different times. This is kind of how the story is told, and like their experiences with the house. But at the end of the day, the main character is a lady police officer, and that's who we see at the end. And yeah, if you know anything about The Grudge, like I've said 80,000 times, you'll kind of get the idea of how the movie ends. So with that and not too many spoilers, my review to The Grudge, The Untold Chapter. So yes, let's talk about the good about this movie before we get into the things that I kind of didn't like. And so production in this movie was insanely good, and the lighting in this movie was insanely good. They really went out of their way to just do crazy, insane stuff with like the color yellow. The lightings with the yellow, the color grading with the yellows. This is easily just a movie that just excelled at that. Like, that's always good. Kind of back to my issue with the third one though, was these are a little bit more bloodier and gorier, which I would never have an issue with, but that's not kind of how these movies are meant to be. just from the first two, I never got that feeling that the movies were meant to be bloody and gory. They were meant to be like jump scare movies, kind of, you know? And once again, they just never do the spirits taking you to the spirit realm, just making you disappear, which was always just unsettling and insane to me, because that's like, yeah, you could just get snatched out your clothes. But they don't do that no more, which is nuts. But they do the hand in the back of the head. Acting in this movie was insanely good. They decided for this movie they were just going to pull out an all-star cast. A lot of big names in this movie. Yeah, the story was pretty good. I really enjoyed this movie, but I feel like the things that kind of made 3 bad, they kind of kept in this movie. But it was just looked prettier. It was a prettier package, you know, with better actors and way better production and stuff like that than 3. So, I mean, but it was still written by the dude that wrote 1 and 2, so I'm just confused. Maybe this was just how he wanted it to go all along, and just my head canon just is fairy tale non-canon, obviously. But, yeah, so honestly, though, the most important thing from this movie was just the lighting. Excellent lighting. But for story-wise, wasn't as committed as I was for the first 2, which was the whole reason I even liked The Grudge, was for the story. So, I mean, whatever. Pretty good movie, though, but it wasn't good enough to put The Grudge back on the map, as I had no idea this movie was even made, and it's not that old. So yeah, my recommendation to The Grudge, The Untold Story chapter, my bad, but yeah, I definitely recommend this. It was pretty good. The lighting was insane, and production was insane, and the acting was really good. You cannot go wrong with that. Honestly, could have probably been a highly recommended if it just stuck true to the first 2 Grudges, but I mean, it still does play on the story well. But like I said, I think it could have been better, but who am I, right?